She was only 17 when her world suddenly went quiet. One moment she was laughing, running, dreaming about the future. The next, she was lying in a hospital bed, staring at the ceiling, unable to feel her legs. Doctors spoke in calm voices, but their words felt like thunder. She may never walk again. Her mother held her hand and smiled bravely, but inside, her heart was breaking. They had money. They had access to the best hospitals. Billionaire doctors with shiny offices and famous names tried everything they knew. And still, nothing changed. Emily lived in a large American city where tall buildings blocked the sunlight and hospitals looked more like luxury hotels. Her father had passed away years earlier, so it was just Emily and her mom, Sarah. After the accident, their lives revolved around hospital rooms, wheelchairs, and quiet car rides home filled with unspoken fear. The accident happened on a rainy evening. A simple ride home. A truck ran a red light. Emily survived, but her spine was badly injured. Surgeons operated for hours. Physical therapists worked with her for months. Specialists from around the country reviewed her case. Each one gently shook their head. She's stable, they said. But walking again? We don't see it happening. Sarah sold her jewelry. She drained savings accounts. She paid for treatments that promised hope and delivered disappointment. Every night, she cried alone in the kitchen, so Emily wouldn't hear. Emily pretended to be strong. She joked with nurses. She smiled for her mom. But when she was alone, she stared at her legs and whispered, "Please. Just move." They never did. One afternoon, months later, Sarah's old car started making a terrible noise. She drove to a small, run-down auto shop on the edge of town. It wasn't fancy. The sign was faded. Inside, a man in oil-stained overalls looked up and smiled. His name was Mike. Mike was a single dad. His wife had left years ago, and he raised his young son while running the small mechanic shop. He didn't have much money, but he had kind eyes and a calm voice. When Sarah explained her situation, apologizing for not knowing if she could pay right away, Mike waved his hand. "We'll figure it out," he said. Car trouble's stressful enough. While fixing the car, Mike noticed the wheelchair in the back seat. He didn't ask at first. Later, gently, he did. Sarah told him everything. She didn't know why she opened up. Maybe it was his quiet patience. Maybe it was exhaustion. She talked about Emily, the doctors, the hopelessness. Tears fell before she could stop them. Mike listened. He didn't interrupt. When she finished, he wiped his hands and said something unexpected. "I'm not a doctor," he said. "But my brother lost the use of his leg years ago. Everyone said it was permanent." It wasn't. Sarah froze. "What do you mean?" Mike explained that his brother's injury was different, but what helped him wasn't some expensive treatment. It was a combination of unconventional physical therapy, consistency, and someone who refused to give up on him. "I worked with my brother every night after my shifts," Mike said. Slow. Painful. But we believed. Sarah wanted to believe too. But belief had already cost her so much. Mike hesitated, then continued. "I'm not saying this is a miracle. I'm saying, kindness and patience can do things money can't." A week later, Sarah brought Emily to the shop. Emily didn't expect much. She was tired of hope. Mike greeted her like she mattered. Not like a patient. Like a person. He talked to her about music, movies, life. Then he showed her a small, simple routine. Gentle movements. Muscle engagement. Things doctors had skipped because they didn't look impressive. "I won't promise you'll walk," Mike said honestly. "But I promise I won't quit on you." They met every evening after the shop closed. Mike never charged them. He used old mats, simple tools, and endless patience. Emily cried from pain. She screamed from frustration. Mike stayed calm. "Anger means you still care," he told her. "That's good." Weeks passed. Nothing happened. Then one night, Emily felt something strange, a twitch barely noticeable. But real. Her eyes filled with tears. Mike saw it too. "Did you feel that?" he asked. Emily nodded, shaking. They didn't celebrate loudly. They just smiled. Progress was slow. Painful. Exhausting. But it was happening. Muscles waking up. Nerves remembering. Sarah watched from the corner, hands over her mouth, afraid to breathe. Months later, Emily stood up. Not alone. Not strong, but standing. Sarah collapsed to her knees, crying harder than she ever had before. Billionaire doctors had failed. Not because they didn't care, but because they didn't have time. They didn't have patience. They didn't see Emily as more than a case Mike did. When Emily took her first step, the shop was silent except for her shaky breathing. Mike stepped back. This part, he said softly, is yours. Emily walked. Slowly. Imperfectly. But she walked. News spread. Reporters came. People called Mike a hero. He shook his head every time. I just didn't give up, he said. Anyone can do that. Emily went back to school. Sarah started smiling again. Mike returned to fixing cars and raising his son, but something had changed. Every time Emily walks now, she remembers that kindness doesn't need money. It needs heart. And sometimes, the people who change our lives the most aren't in big buildings with fancy titles. They're in small garages, with oil on their hands, and hope in their hearts. If this story moved you, remember this: your kindness might be someone else's miracle. Spread it. Share it. Live it. This is Kindness Action, and the world needs more of it.